Now then. One thing I could do over here... Actually, what does this look like from the top? Where is... I kind of want to move this down. Yeah, that'll be moved down so the DPR1 will be clear again. Good. I could have that moved down there. In fact, perhaps I should. Just shunt that straight down, straight away. But I could also shunt it across and have a storage of Hyperium right there. It's an option. I don't think it's an option we need, though. Aavak, left capacitor no longer has a door. Oh, right. Thank you very much for that. I should have deleted this one. It was the shield. I moved the doors around so that they were closer to where the energy was coming from and to the bunks, but I hadn't mirrored that properly on that side. Thank you very much for catching that. Much obliged. The other thing I could do is I could just have the shield being fueled by the big reactor. Because this big reactor is barely touched in terms of its power output. Like, I've never seen this even halfway depleted. So I could just have more crew running batteries around the ship. They'd have to travel further, but on this, they would be a little bit faster at least. Alternatively, I could just put small reactors there and it wouldn't need to be capacitors. That would be a very dedicated shield crew then. In fact, I could have 2 shields running off it then. Left side ship, right walkway. Left side ship, right walkway is... Oh yeah. Yeah, that I can see why that would be burning your brain. There you go. Sorted. Done, Rosenkai. I can turn off the auto-adding of doors, can I? Yeah, I believe I've seen that message somewhere. But this is something I would like to ask. Should I just have a localized reactor down here? Now, the problem with a localized reactor is it's only going to be producing single charge batteries. So I would need more crew to move the batteries between places. But if I had a reactor, for example, just sat here, then that crew could just into the reactor, move one battery, into the reactor, move one battery. I'd need probably 2 crew to keep this running, maybe even more, because this is going to be dumping a lot of power into these engines all the time. Our capacitor's double charged. Well, I mean, each one of these spots is 1 charge, and it'll fill up 3 charges from a battery brought from a large reactor, but then it'll just be a single charge. Oh, removing this out of the reactor doorway? Okay. I recommend removing the moving walkway coming out of the reactor door, as it slows the crew, from what I've seen, more than worth it. Oh, that's a good point, actually, because if they're trying to get in there, they're going to be slowed down. Right. That does make sense. Okay, well, what we'll do then is we won't... we won't have any walkways outside of those doors. We don't need that door either. Yeah, we'll I mean, hopefully they're okay there. We'll see. Now, just to make it clear for those who are tuning into the stream and haven't seen the Let's Play, we are basically crew locked. I can't simply add more crew to the ship because there aren't enough crew that will work for me. Not until much later. The big reactor produces batteries, you know, super fast, actually. Like I said, I've never even seen this halfway depleted. The problem for me... Like, right now, we've got a reactor, dedicated reactor up here for the shield and this ion prism. I could have a dedicated reactor for these two as well. And at that point, the main reactor, well, it won't really be doing all that much, frankly. No, Deathcrawler. Thank you very much for that. I didn't know that you could change the crew fame ratio under settings. That's actually super useful. But I think I'll stick to the default for now. Yeah, that's my concern, Rocket Man. The capacitors might be increasing the crew workload by turning an efficient 3-size battery into inefficient 1-size batteries. Now, the only time that I would say capacitors are really good is for things that only consume like 1 charge every few seconds or something like that. Like, these consume barely any charge at all. So loading a 3-charge battery in here is wasting 2 charges. Try moving the caps together. Moving the capacitors together, like, towards the middle? Why would I do that? You'll have to explain your reasoning there, Torek. Shadow Hiss. I'll throw an idea for small ships. I'm not looking for ideas right now, but I'll read this out, but I'm not looking to build a new ship. I'm obviously looking at this ship right now, so... Unless your idea pertains to the Scarab, you just wasted 2 blocks of backseat gaming. 2 of them. Big fast thrusters, lots of armor on the front and sides, a single ion cannon, and crystals sticking out of the back. Aim the crystals at each other, set to fire continuously, send the ships to just fly past enemies on either sides of them. Laser wall of fun. I mean, it probably would work. I don't know if... You know, we were already looking at that earlier. Where was the target? Try removing the caps altogether. I do apologize. My reading comprehension is garbage, apparently. But thank you very much for that suggestion. So, you suggest something like that. I could. And we could shunt that down a bit. Gives us a little bit more room to play with in the middle. Might not even need this then. Gives quite a lot of side armor there then. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, is maybe only having the capacitors used to feed small things like the point defense, which honestly on this setup, there's only really one place where we've got small things. Maybe actually a capacitor down here that fed these. Because right now, we don't have that energy available to the point defense over here. And there's no convenient place for me to put it anyway. But if I were to move this across, that would actually give a nice bit of coverage there, and I could just slot in a capacitor here, I suppose. So that capacitor would be loaded, and then it's responsible for feeding all of these. But the reactor itself feeds these, and these reactors at the top. I mean, it honestly felt like our medium reactor should easily manage this, because right now we're having to dedicate a decent amount of crew, like probably 2 crew to each of these just to keep these fed fully, and occasionally they can spare some time to load some power into the shields. Alternatively, as you suggest, I could move the hyperdrives over to each side rather than these capacitors. I don't know. But then I'd lose the capacitors, and the whole point of the capacitors being there is that, you know, these might need power. Honestly, though, in the time that we've been playing recently, I've not seen these really have to fire that often. Yeah, I'm starting to feel the capacitors a trap, honestly. But you know what? Sure, let's give that a shift. And that means that this can go away completely now. And so we've got a nice big wall of armor there to protect our very, very expensive, extremely, extremely important reactor. And at that stage, we could also do this. And have this, very specifically, be purely for Hyperion. So we've got enough charge, enough Hyperion there to make several frivolous jumps. Which in turn, once again, gives us more room down here. Because that is no longer needed for a pure Hyperion storage. I can have this. I think that does actually make this a bit more efficient. Point defense don't get manned demonic lance. They only get fed energy. These point defense are purely unarmed. Unmanned, sorry. They're 100% automated. It's why you can't target subsystems with them. Alacrams, thank you very much for the 40 months, buddy. Diolch yn fawr. Yeah, the small side point defense are purely autonomous. Only these ones get manned, and they definitely are being manned. No worries, though. I appreciate the offer of help, even if it's a little bit off the mark. Okay. I think that is a better design down here. Got some decent chunky storage. We could possibly even get rid of this, if I'm perfectly honest, and have even more forward thrust if I wanted to make you really barrel down on your enemies. But I think I am good, and we don't need to do that. I also don't really think we need the hatches there. I think that's just for the sake of it, really. So let's pop some more armor in there instead. Popped in because I wanted to see some Cosmoteer. Digging the stream, real chill. Hey, Speed of Snail. Love the name, by the way. Welcome to the chat. Can I ask why we haven't gone for boost thrusters on forward boost? They're just as good as huge normally, but then you can go insane if you're catching up with something. That's a good point, actually. That is a legitimately good question. I could. And there's one reason why I would like to do that as well. Now, the reason is that boost thrusters need to have... Okay, from what I understand, when a boost thruster is firing as boost, it stops allowing energy to be input into it until its boost sequence is done. However, with an engine room, because the engine room allows will feed energy to all thrusters around it. That includes the boosters. As long as there's energy being requested by the engine room, it'll keep feeding them. So you just need one other thruster attached to the engine room, and it should continue to feed the boosters, allowing them to remain in boost mode for a longer time. Yeah, boost thrusters do not accept energy to boosting thrusters. Is this game complete enough for there to be a good number of hours of fun? I would say so, yeah, Xanthras. I would say so. Also, thank you ever so much for the returned sub. 3rd month, 2nd best month. Diolch yn fawr, mate. So yeah, the only issue here is having a single pair of boost thrusters as my only reverse thrust means that once they power down, they're down until they get recharged, which could take some time. So I think we actually need to expand out our thruster cluster once again. Ah, crap. Let me do that again. There we go. And at this point, I'm going to say that the shield is now part of the thruster cluster. Alright, actually, before I move this, vets in chat, I have a question. In regards to the boosters and their ramp-up time, obviously the small thrusters have 0-second burn time, so they'll immediately start burning. You've got the standard thrusters, which have 1 second, the large thrusters, which have 2 seconds, and then the huge thrusters, which have, what was it, 4? Have a look. Yeah, 4 seconds. Is that they build up to that, or is it they take 4 seconds to actually start firing? Because based on the numbers, even though it takes time to reach its full output, it's still arguably better than the one below it, regardless. Even at 1 second, assuming it's a linear increase, they should be okay. If not, then it depends on how aggressive the curve is. Because if the curve is very, very shallow until it gets right close to the 4 seconds and then super spikes, then there's value in having the faster reacting thrusters also in that direction, just so that you get moving with a little bit more oomph that little bit faster. However, if their ramp-up time is simply, yeah, it's a linear increase from 0 seconds to 4 seconds at maximum output, then, like, this is 8,000 kilonewtons at 4 seconds. This is 400 kilonewtons at 0 seconds. So by that logic, you know, what I was saying before of oh, it's always useful to have like combat maneuvering thrusters being small because they react faster, that doesn't apply. Yeah, just because this doesn't reach its full power for 4 seconds doesn't mean that at 0 seconds it's still not more powerful. Because it is. If it's a linear ramp up, then at 4 seconds this is still outputting 2,000 kilonewton. At like second 0, this is still outputting 2,000. Then at 1, it's outputting 4. Well, okay, a little bit different from that, but you know what I mean. So for all I've seen, they take time to reach full output. One huge thruster is always better than one large thruster, but multiple smaller thrusters can be very helpful for maneuvering quickly. Yeah, you can't fit it. Like if it's a space concern, then obviously you don't want the huge thrusters. But for example, if you can fit a standard thruster, you can probably fit a large. Like for example, here I have to use that one. That's just the only one that realistically fits in that space. Same with this one, but I could just not use that one. I don't need it. Hello, Tilly. Oh, sweetheart. Tilly is saying hello. So, you know, fitting extra thrusters in the gaps you've got, that's fine. But I was just wondering if my understanding of this was correct. So if it is a linear ramp up, then I'll probably just replace these thrusters with with huge ones. Because effectively, these are more or less using up the space of a huge one anyway. The problem with large thrusters is the same as their advantage. They're powerful. They will overshoot. Okay, so they don't dial down the thrusters at all? Because I've noticed in flight, when they're needing to course correct because you've built a asymmetrical ship, they'll just not ramp up a certain thruster to its maximum output. It'll be like a half output or something like that. Oh, take care, I am Killer Dove. You have a good one, mate. Because based on this... Oh, they do, but they thrust briefly, but they seem to have a lower cap and will overcorrect. Right. Okay. I understand that then. Well, based on that information, let's go ahead and cut, slip this to the side, just about there. And we are going to pop that back in there. My bad. And we're going to replace one of these thrusters with a large. Sorry, with a huge. Which one we replace with huge? We'll pop the huge on the outside. Because I just think it looks nicer. Only reason. Have you or anyone else in chat worked out how to auto-empty smelters and factories? Yeah. JD Plays, it's pretty easy. Let me quickly show you. So, go in here, click on the Manage Resources, and then click on Supply Chain Mode. So, if you want to auto-empty them, you can click on a factory, and then... Or indeed, like, as you can see, it's moving around from my power output there. But if you click on anything, you click on it, you can tell it to feed another place. And that means if it's got anything in it that would fit in the place it's feeding, it'll shift them out. Why not equip the escorts with flak cannons since they are melee in your fleet? Would missile boats be better? I don't know the game. Well, that's what we're actually thinking of doing. But basically, the gist of it, from what I understand, JD, is if a space is designated for a specific type of good, so for example, this is Tri-Steel over here, then because this is automatically supply Tri-Steel, automatically deliver titanium, you can turn that on, you can turn it off. If this has somewhere to go that is asking for Tri-Steel, so this place, then it'll get moved out. If there is nowhere asking for it, then it won't. But you can be very, very explicit. Like, you don't need to specifically say, hey, you know, this is an entire storage for Tri-Steel, because sometimes you haven't got that much storage that you can dedicate an entire spot to just Tri-Steel. In that case, with these ones, which are generalists, you can just go dump. And like you could do that to all of your storages. And that means that it would be like, hey, if there's tri-steel in here, and there's anywhere that could take tri-steel, get it out of the factory and put it into the storage that'll accept it. Okay, so do auto feed out from each factory to storage, and you should be fine. I just don't want to filter everything. I just want all ore to auto convert to plate. Well, in that case, feeding, you will notice that all of my ore spots are feeding somewhere. But one thing you can do is if you have a spot in storage that is designated for a type of resource, which is what I've done here, they will pull that resource from any other like generic storage and put it in there as a priority. And this way, this is why I've got these small storages, by the way, is exactly this reason. So for example, the sulfur there, that's been empty plenty of times. The moment there's not a full stack of sulfur in here and there's sulfur anywhere else in any of these other storages that isn't expressly told to store sulfur, they'll grab that sulfur and move it across. And then only this storage is set to feed my ammo factory. That way, I only need one filter and one feeding loop. It keeps it nice and clear when I look at it. Like, that is so much better than having arrows from every single storage going into there just to make sure that it gets fed no matter where the sulfur was put. Does that answer your question? Heyo, Thermal Nemesis. Welcome to chat, mate. Thanks, Aavak, that helps. It was one of the things I just couldn't work out during the demo. No, I completely understand. I think the first time I was doing factories as well, I struggled a little bit. Like, I don't even know what I'd managed to do because I was in this area and I was linking things up, but it wasn't doing what I wanted. I have no idea what I'd managed to do with the linking, but it was not working. And then I think I went off, made myself a cuppa, came back, and sat down and was like, oh no, that's simple. And then I just quickly rewired it, and boom, there we go. Sometimes you can be staring at a problem too long, you know? I do believe factories will pull, without any further input, automatically deliver sulfur on. But I don't know. Sometimes I like having these there just a bit more expressly. Also, it looks really cool. Having these ones in the middle, I can literally see at a glance from out here. Because the big ones, they're a little bit more hodgepodge, hard to see if they're full of something you want. But these ones, I find that like if you look at where the windows are, on the outside versus the inside, they're right at the edge. They don't quite cover the contents, but the small ones, because it's that much smaller, the windows are actually over the contents on each tile. So you end up seeing what's inside. At a glance, like even from out here, I can see which of these storages are full. Hey Aavak, here's a thought to rot your brain. The ores icon looks like human faces screaming in pain, and you are harvesting their suffering. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about ore as in like metal ore? Iron ore? Because if not, I have some terrible, terrible news for you and your face. Whatever your mother told you, she was fibbing. I don't even think that's a face a mother could love. I'm terribly sorry to break it to you like this, but if your face looks like this, I'm so sorry, but I feel that you deserve the truth. In the resources tab, let's have a look. You mean the copper ore? Aavak choosing violence today. I guess I could sort of see it. It's kind of a clay face. Also, that's a little goblin. Totally goblin there with a little smirk. Heavy brows. Bloody goblin. Though, those are its pecs. This is a stacked goblin. This is a goblin who has gobbed pretty hard for most of its life. It has risen high in the ranks of goblindom. My God. Hopper looks like Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh, okay, I can't unsee that now. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll take that one. Sure. That is Krang. That is a fact. Right. But back to the Scarab redesign. Now then. I think that should be good. But honestly, I could fit that in there. I don't know if there's much reason to. Or if I should just have these two be my forward thrust. It seems so piddling just to have a tiny little thruster in there. I guess more thrust is good thrust. I guess more thrust is good thrust. I am definitely starting to feel like maybe having a shielder on this side is going to be important, though. This is kind of hurting now. Maybe another shield over there, but with its own reactor. And that reactor then could power the point defense. It does create a bit of an issue. Either that or we push it out, put a shield there, and then also a flak cannon. But then it's like, I am protecting my flanks with flak cannons. There will be flak cannons. My flank cannons are going to protect my flanks. But why, though? Didn't you just, like, make your flanks a larger target purely so that you could protect your flanks? It's like, maybe. I think I'm just going to stick with this for now. I think pushing it any harder than that is just silly. Which does now mean I need some more armor down here. Only we're going to do it slightly differently. Yeah, something like that. Bit of a longer walk, but it's fine. I think this needs a test flight. We haven't even finished redesigning it yet. We've added so much stuff to it, but yeah, we are going to need some sort of a test to it, but we're a ways away from that yet. Now, chat, the last thing you said in regards to our to the ion cannons was that the reason we were having problems before was, strictly speaking, the fact that it took so long for... it was the capacitors. It wasn't the reactor, and we could happily feed it from this reactor with enough supply crew. How many people in chat hold that belief? For how many of you is this the truth? Hello, Aavak and chat. Just doing a bit of ship designing. Well, we're doing the ship designing right now. Then we're going to be testing it out by clearing the 3 systems that I have investigated on my Let's Play so far. There is no truth in chat. Wow. That is possibly the most truthful thing you've said, chat. Which now presents me with a conundrum. Is this some sort of, like, truth logical loop? Like, you know, this statement is a lie kind of thing, or what? I supply 4 beams with 1 medium reactor and 1 capacitor as a buffer. See, Deathcrawler, that's the thing, is we had a capacitor, and chat is suggesting that the capacitor was the reason why we had troubles. Ship design. Make it a diagonal ship with the ions around the reactor. No. The ship is already too big. I'm not going to completely redesign it. Thank you for the suggestion, though. We will be bearing that in mind for future ion drones. Well, if there were enough supply crew, they would probably be able to supply enough power from the reactor capacitor to store energy, which crew then have to go out of their way to supply. Well, that's the thing, is because we're taking, like, 3 large batteries and downgrading them into 1 large battery, into 1 charge batteries in a capacitor, and then moving the batteries charge from the capacitor into the ion beam. I guess we could just give it a test. I mean, there's nothing against just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks, I suppose. But one thing I will say is, let's move this down. And because of that, I'm sorely considering moving up ammo factories to the flak batteries themselves. The only thing is that would store significantly less ammo. Like a lot less ammo. It might be smarter to have that ammo stored nearby. But, you know, that is explosive, so, you know, you've got that issue. That won't interfere with the firing angle. Oh my god, JD Plays fell into the classic blunder. They've triggered my trap card, and they have once again. We've got someone suggesting that I bury the engines inside the ship like a cheesy gubbins. No. Be gone with your foul cheese. It's stinky cheese. Not even the good stinky cheese. It's just the bad stinky cheese. It's far too old. To the cheese bliette with you. But to answer that suggestion properly, no. I know you can, but I'm not going to. I find that way too cheesy. I totally understand how it works, though. Right, so these thrusters over here, we can easily just power them from outside. That's not an issue. They're just more maneuvering thrusters than anything else. Honestly, at this stage, it feels like the lion's share of anything happening on this ship is concentrated around the reactor. And people needing to move to and from the reactor to charge things up. Oh yeah, the boost thrusters are huge. They have an enormous amount of space required, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking having these thrusters more towards the front rather than towards the center here would help with rotation, which is more or less what they're there for, really. So we could do something like this instead. That also works. Which does give us a little bit of a space in here that we could put other things in if we wanted to. What other things? I have no idea. We could put another shield, maybe. Big boy shields? No, that won't fit, but it would be funny. Huge shield cone! Take that! That would actually be hilarious. I mean, it would give us protection from the side, at the very least. We could also move the ions. Like, at this point, this... Yeah, that's actually a good point. We could do something like that. But that basically isolates the top of the ship. That isn't in and of itself a bad move, however. If I had that reactor up there, that reactor is now solely for the shield array and these thrusters. And I could have ammo Ooh. Chat, you may have just accidentally onto a really good suggestion. That's a big change, though. But we can play around with it. We can definitely give this a shot. At that point, we could do something along these lines. And just isolate this part of the ship completely. Obviously, that needs a bit more room to walk. But it'll do. This requires 3 crew. And then we'd have an extra couple of crew then to load the ammo or indeed fit up the shield generator, so on and so forth. That is something we could do, though. It's a fairly big change. I'm not sure if I want to do that all in one go. Or does the shield gen require 2 crew? Ah, I apologize. Oh, yeah. You sure about that? Doesn't say anything about crew capacity in there. Crew speed. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about crew capacity. So, no, it doesn't. It would have a seat otherwise. It just needs someone to load it. At this stage, we could actually pull the front of the ship down. All we need is a way in. Place for the crew to stay. That 3 crew there, and then 3 for moving things around. An ammo storage and an ammo manufacturer if we wanted to.